Great men, like great ages, are explosives in which a tremendous force is stored up. Their precondition is always, historically and physiologically, that for a long time much has been gathered, saved up, and conserved for them. That there has been no explosion for a long time. Friedrich Nietzsche wrote these prophetic lines in Twilight of the Idols about 25 years before the outbreak of World War I and then World War II, the greatest explosions ever seen. The passage continues, quote, "Once the tension in the mass has become too great, then the most accidental stimulus suffices to summon into the world the genius, the deed, the great destiny." I believe we live in such an age. The tension within humanity, the pressure is boiling over. Great ages are similar to great men, because they spawn after a large building of tension and energy, like a bowstring being pulled back for a long time, until the finger that holds the string slips. I think we are about to see the most spectacular age and event in history within our lifetimes. Not wholly a good one either, but one of destruction, change, revolution, and the rise of great men. And that's because, as a whole, we are too corrupt and far from nature. We have descended far from the natural order of things. And additionally, young men, the key ingredient in revolutions, have been cast aside. I recently saw a Twitter post that said, "I don't think you understand. You have an entire generation of fighting age men with nothing worth living for. You should be scared." Most young men today are single. They can't get a date, they can't get women, and they're blamed for it. Sexual frustration is beyond rampant, way worse than most expect. To make matters worse, young men, and especially young white men, are actively hated on by mainstream culture. They are discriminated against in universities and by most big companies for hiring due to DEI incentives. They can't buy homes anymore in this housing market, they can't find friends, and most of them don't have any unifying purpose. This is a terrifying situation and affects the majority of young men, the fighting age men. Most people hold luxury beliefs because of the age of unprecedented prosperity we have enjoyed. But the reality is that war and violence have been the norm across all of human history, and peace has been the irregularity. When young men are left bored, disillusioned, or frustrated, it's only a matter of time before a leader rises to mobilize them. On top of that, society has completely removed or negated the little micro wars, famines, and daily hardships that used to give men purpose and vent the societal pot. In fact, today, we just seal the lid and reject all the violent or darker aspects of human nature, and hence, the energy builds. It's only a matter of time until the trigger slips. What will catalyze these great men and this great age? I'm uncertain. It's probably going to be an incel revolution, a civil war, world wars, and or economic disaster. We are on the brink of all of these. But as of now, the genius of our time is still sleeping. It has yet to receive the impetus, but I think we all feel the power awakening. There has been no explosion since World War II, and no tremendous revolution since the 1700s and the early 1800s with Napoleon. Empires and wars rise and fall in cycles. Like all things from the stock market to your emotions to the seasons, there's a natural rise and fall to life that is cyclical and measurable. Looking at history, great wars appear every 100 years or so. According to Turchin, an extraordinary thinker who brought mathematical models to history, the empire cycle is usually about 250 years before collapse or revolution. Also, vast patriarchal takeovers happen about every 500 years or so. And according to my own study and intuitions, great religious leaders and messianic figures appear about every 2100 years, usually around the precession of the equinox and the turning of the age, which we are currently experiencing. We stand at the brink and turning point of all of these great cycles, and very few are sounding the alarm. I mean shit, my generation is called Gen Z. The final generation in the entire circuit. Generation A follows us. And if that isn't strong enough evidence for you to go stash canned food in your bunker, I don't know what is. All right, I'm playing with you. But seriously, expect changes. Great and dangerous men are going to arise. Nothing can stop them. And there's plenty of young fighting men who will flock to their banners. This event cares nothing for the spirit of the times or the indoctrination of the modern day. In fact, this event happens on a cycle repeatedly. This will create a whole new moral system. And on top of that, throw society into upheaval. And in that, there's great destruction, but also great opportunity to build something new. The question is how are you positioning yourself now? What kind of skills, knowledge, and community are you cultivating? In the changes to come, what cause will you serve? And what ideal will you champion? These are all pressing questions for rising men out there, because it'll be up to you to lead this. Returning to Nietzsche again, quote, "Once the tension in the mass has become too great, then the most accidental stimulus suffices to summon into the world the genius, the deed, the great destiny. What does the environment matter then, or the age, or the spirit of the age, or public opinion?" Unquote. Public opinion and common morality cannot change or alter the birth of geniuses. Nietzsche's great men are first and foremost the product of their instincts. And the instincts of great men are to explode with energy and power. They want to conquer. They want to lead. This is the nature of all great men across history, and their force of personality alone orchestrates a revolution and an entirely new social order, as we saw with Napoleon, Caesar, Christ, Alexander the Great, and many others. No matter how much an age castrates men and promotes anti-heroic figures, men of strong instincts will arise again. It is the nature of the world. It is how the earth is purified and changed. I don't know when this will happen, but I see it coming, and so did Nietzsche. And now I just want to leave you with the rest of that intriguing Nietzsche quote that inspired this video. "The great man is an end. The great age, the Renaissance, for instance, is an end. The genius, in work and in deed, is necessarily a squanderer. The fact that he spends himself constitutes his greatness. The instinct of self-preservation is, as it were, suspended in him. The overpowering pressure of outflowing energy in him forbids any such protection and prudence. People call this, quote, self-sacrifice. They praise his heroism, his indifference to his own well-being, his utter devotion to an idea, a great cause, a fatherland. All misunderstandings. He flows out. He flows over. He consumes himself. He does not spare himself, and does all of this with fateful necessity, irrevocably, involuntarily, just as the river involuntarily bursts its dam. But owing to the fact that humanity has much been indebted to such explosives, it has endowed them with many things, for instance, with a kind of higher morality.